I love a classic cider, one that's all apple but really dry, not sweet, but dry. I love this cider and it's so great with pork vindaloo. So pork vindaloo, like most Indian dishes, will have a lot of spice with it. It's cut down by that wonderful flavor in the apple cider. So what we're going to do is start with a nice hot pan and a little bit of oil. About 2 tablespoons of olive oil is all you need for this. Now the first thing we're going to do is to saute some onions and some other aromatics. So let's get in our onions. I have 3 large onions here that are chopped and just ready to be sauteed. Pretty much anytime you cook, you want to start with your aromatics. You're building a flavor base. It's really important to build that flavor base because if you don't have the flavor with the meat going into it, then the meat never develops a great flavor. So the next thing we're going to add is a chopped jalapeno or any style green chili and about a tablespoon of chopped ginger root. That smell is amazing in here. Now let's just let that saute for about 5 minutes until the vegetables start to get nice and soft. So my vegetables have just started to soften, and now I want to add some garlic. Now the reason I didn't add garlic initially is because it burns so quickly. So you want to make sure that you're really protecting that garlic. Now this is about 12 cloves of garlic. It takes a lot of garlic for pork vindaloo. Lots and lots of flavor. So let's just add that, and then we'll stir it through and add some more aromatics, this time in the form of spices. So I have some cayenne pepper, about a half teaspoon of cayenne pepper, about a quarter teaspoon of cloves, and a half teaspoon of cinnamon. Let's just sprinkle those in. And I want all of these things to hit the heat of the pan. What you're doing is really blooming those flavors, because if you bloom them, they get a much richer flavor at the end result. Then I want to take about 2 teaspoons of a nice smoked paprika. Now smoked paprika in this is one of those flavors that is really important to add because it adds to the depth of the vindaloo. And last but not least, an Indian tradition, a teaspoon of turmeric. All of these things will give that beautiful reddish orange flavor, color, palette to this dish. Now I've got about 2.5 pounds of pork loin, and I've trimmed it up. It's a nice lean pork loin. And to this I'm going to add some salt and pepper. About 2 teaspoons of salt, about a teaspoon of pepper. You just want enough that you can really cover and season it. And let's just stir that through. You want to coat it all so it's all seasoned a little bit. Now let's stir that vindaloo base one last time. And I want to pull all of my vegetables to one side of the pan so I can drop my meat in. And it's nice and hot. You can turn your heat up to high at this point if you want to sear that pork. Or you can leave it at medium high and add a little at a time. I kind of like to turn the pan up high and then get it all in there at once. Now you don't have to sear the pork to the point where it's brown. You're just trying to get the juices to stay inside. So make sure that you let the heat hit all sides of your pork. This dish is also great with chicken, particularly with chicken thighs, because they have enough fat in them, enough base that they really take on the flavors and they don't become dry. Chicken breasts can become very dry in this dish, but pork and chicken thighs work out perfectly. Now at this point, the pork is starting to turn white a little bit all over. So I'm just going to start stirring in all of that onion mixture. And I'll continue to sear that pork. It's looking really great. You can kind of see that you want this little whiteness on the pork, and try to get that on as much of the pork as possible before you add any liquid. Oh, that's looking great. All right. Now it's time to add some more flavor components. First of all, a can of coconut milk. This is about 14.5 ounces. I love that rich smell that happens when the coconut milk hits all of those great herbs and spices. Okay. And now we want to add about 2 tablespoons of a white vinegar. You can use a white wine vinegar, a white cider vinegar, or you can use a champagne vinegar. This will make the dish really bright, and it works really well with the cider. So particularly if you're using a white cider vinegar, that's great. Nice distilled vinegar. And last but not least, about 2 cups of water. Now I'm going to let this simmer for about 30 minutes, and then we're going to serve it over rice. The vindaloo will be done when the pork temps out at about 160 to 165 degrees. Now this beautiful dry apple cider with a wonderful pork vindaloo. The pork is at about 160 degrees. It's done, but it's still tender. It's wonderful. And all of this yumminess, oh, I can't wait. Now, if you like a thicker pork vindaloo, don't add quite as much water. I have a tendency to like mine a little bit thinner because I think then it's absorbed by the rice. That moisture is absorbed. But if you like yours thicker, by all means, don't thin it so much. Let's just ladle that right around some rice. Oh, wow, this looks amazing. It just smells so good. I love all of those Indian spices. Oh, and just a nice little bit of rice there. You can use jasmine, basmati, brown, white, whatever you have. So wonderful. Can't wait to taste it. You can see the steam just rising up. Oh, beautiful. That's good. Let's try it with a little bit of our cider. Again, this is a dry apple cider, so no residual sugar, low residual sugar for apple cider. You always have a little bit of that residual sugar, but just really, really good. And I hope the next time you want to try something a little bit different, go for this pork vindaloo.